Those nasty people. Those nasty people. Those nasty people gonna take me away. Those nasty people. Those nasty people. Those nasty people gonna take me away.
Welcome to Live at the Library, What's Going On. This year we're celebrating 40 years of the Music Library in Cork, and we have a series of interviews with contemporary Cork musicians from all genres. Our first interview is with the legendary blues and rock harmonica player and singer Joe Callaghan.
Hello, Joe.
Hi Sheena, how are you?
I'm delighted you agreed to come in and chat with me because I've known you so long, coming into the shop buying harmonicas for years, and obviously all the gigs I got to see you doing. How many decades have you been in the music business?
Oh, my addition isn't great. 50 years, I suppose.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'd like to start at the beginning though, if you can tell me how you were introduced to music, or what age were you, and how did you become interested in music?
Elvis, I suppose. Go to see the movies and listen to Luxembourg. And Chuck Berry and rock and roll, Gerry Lee Lewis, Ray Charles, people like that. I used to enjoy the music, you know. And then I went to see the Rolling Stones live in '63 when they came here. And there was good buzz as well.
And what age were you when you took up an instrument?
About 16, I'd say.
Was it the harmonica first?
No,
Oh.
piano when I was a kid. And then I tried to learn guitar for a while, just playing chords. I never developed it properly, you know, just playing chords. Not lead guitar or anything like that, just chords.
You went on to, when you finished school, you went on to art college, to the
Yeah.
Crawford College of Art, and you qualified as a fine artist. So
Piss artist.
was it a tug of war for you between
No.
art and music?
No, my dad was an artist and he was actually teaching there. And I thought a lot of the arty people were into playing music as well, so I thought it would be good fun to get into a band with these guys, you know, and get to know some people that way. And that was great fun. We did a few things.
So it was always going to be music.
Well,
Yeah,
as well. You have to kind of live as well, you know.
yeah. Can you set the scene for me in the 70s as a young musician? What was it like for you? Because, I mean, it would have been quite conservative at that stage, I suppose, but you didn't have all the technology. Just tell me a bit about the cool places that you'd want to go to, gig or venues that you want to go to.
Well, a little bit before the 70s, it was kind of the end of the 60s. Mid-60s, we'll say. We used to go to a place called the Callaghan, and we used to see Rory playing there, and we used to play there ourselves with a band I had, and there was a lot of bands playing there, local bands, and they'd bring down bands from Dublin and Belfast as well, you know. And it was a great vibe, stuffed, you know, the place was jointed, it was great atmosphere. Just love that. And then there was the Crypt as well. That was another place. That was very good as well. And I'm just trying to think. Then later on we moved to Shandon Boat Club. We used to do gigs down there. And we used to play support then in Francis Hall as to the show bands.
And do you think about it at that age? There's no, today young musicians have so much in technology, like they have apps for slowing down music if you want to learn a track or something.
You
like
can
that,
learn,
doesn't
it's much
affect
better.
pitch. Yeah.
Because I can learn now as well, and I'm learning all the time because there's so much to learn, especially with the computers. You know, I have a weighted piano up against my computer and learning things from that, you know, off the internet. And a bit of guitar as well, you know, just to develop a bit more, you know, because I found that even though we were enjoying the playing, and, you know, still enjoying the playing, but we were only developing then, you know, and we're still developing now, you know, as a musician, I suppose. I would be still developing, you know, because some people are really good, they pick it up very fast, but I suppose my learning difficulties didn't bless me with that, you know.
Yeah, but you'd have had a great times, I'm sure, like with your, you'd have vinyls that you'd be sharing and swapping and tapes, cassettes, and today it's very much a solo existence, I think, with your iPhone and so on, but you must have had great times when as young people hang around. Did you have band rooms that you used to practice in?
fellas' garages, you know, people, some fellas' kitchens, that kind of thing. No, we used to practice in the band room or anything like that. Later on, all right, we used to practice up over O'Brien's when Bill was in the band. We started out with Hot Guitars. Bill O'Brien, 1977, that was.
Well, name the bands, all the bands that you were in, if you don't mind.
We started out with a band called The Method. It was just a local school band. And we had a band called Boot House. And then
Who was in Boot House?
Dick Pender, Kieran McCarthy, Pete Brennan, Dan Sheehan. There were two versions of that as well, you know. It was just a bit of just playing the boat club. That's what we were doing. Good fun.
And then 77 you started Hot Guitars.
Hot Guitars, yeah.
And who was the original lineup of Hot Guitars?
Bill, Jeremy, John Finn, and Pat Lynch, and
Is it Jeremy Nagel?
Yeah.
Jeremy Nagel, yeah.
yeah, and I'm leaving someone out in the bass. Pat Lynch is on the
Pat
bass.
Lynch,
Yeah.
He played, Bill O'Brien told me actually the other day that she had a residency in Sir Henry's that lasted for 10 years. That's
was right,
brilliant. Yeah.
And the guy fired us in the end, and he said we were too old. That was in the mid 80s, I think.
Well, imagine.
Yeah,
I mean,
they went over, they changed over then to a disco kind of sweat
Yeah.
kind of thing, you know. But that was great fun playing at Henry's.
As Hot Guitars is going so strong now, today it was 40 years old last year.
Yeah, so
At this stage, do you even have to practice? You go to your gigs, you're very tired.
yeah, for new songs, yeah, you'd have to learn a few new songs, and that's, in fact, the program just keeps coming back at me saying, God, not this again, not this, you know, because the songs, you get fed up with them so quickly. And I'm not a songwriter. Bill used to be the songwriter in our band for originals, you know, and we used to do a lot of those ones. And no, we're just basically a covers band, you know, just enjoying what we do.
Enjoying the music, yeah.
Yeah.
And when you get up on stage, from the moment you're on stage till the gig finishing,
Yeah.
are you switched on all the way through? Would you
Yeah,
say, are you
yeah. If it's a good gig, like, I mean, we play Charlie's now, we play Collins, and we play the Oliver Plunkett, you know, just locally. We don't kind of travel anymore, really. Oh, we do Cork McSherry as well, West Cork. We're big in Cork McSherry. But it's good fun. It's good fun getting up and just playing, you know. And I jam sometimes in the corner house with the Daisy Blues Band, you know. The Lee Delta Blues Band have a club there every Thursday, and once a month we have a jam session where we all can go in and have a jam, and that's fun too. But I like playing, performing really. But learning the instruments is difficult, then, you know. That's the other side of it, you know. And I'm still struggling with that.
But you're flying, learning the
Yeah,
instruments.
we're fine about that. Yeah. I love
Absolutely.
playing, you know, and I love learning as well. I'm sorry that's the only regret, that it wasn't when I was younger that we were never told how to do it. We had to kind of listen to the record. Could be out of sync. You'd have to kind of tune up your guitar to the record, down, you know, that kind of thing.
We're sitting in the Rory Gallagher Music Library, Cork City.
Yeah.
Actually, this year they're 40 years old. Do you remember when it opened the music department?
I do, yeah.
Must have been a big deal for the
I
musicians.
taped a few of the albums. I put them in my truck and listened to them then on the way. You know. But taping
I
is
saw you
illegal.
earlier on when you came in. You were browsing through the albums.
Yeah.
Can you tell me? I was wondering
Is it
what
just,
album blew you away, or had an impact on you
Oh,
over the years? What album?
well, we
stood
were
out?
listening to blues and rock and roll in the 60s, and then I heard this album by Paul Butterfield Blues Band, and he's a harmonica player, and it absolutely blew me away. And he was an amazing player, you know. And myself and a friend of mine who had the album, we was going to town, and we see this guy walking around town with the album under his arm. And I said, he's got the Paul Butterfield album. And I said, man, we go over near him, and he was a really scary looking cat. Now he had long sideburns, and we were afraid to go near him. And I got to know him years later, and his name was McLeary. And poor man is dead now, but he was saying, we were saying to him how scary we were to approach him. He said the reason he walked around with the album was he wanted somebody to approach him about it and say, you know, how is, you know, that kind of thing. Second, well, we were just, you know, we should have plucked up the courage where we weren't too shy, I suppose.
Yeah.
But it was a great album. Butterfield is a great player, you know. But he switched me on to a lot of people then, like harmonica players like Sonny Terry, Sonny Boy Williamson, you know, people like that. Little Walter, Big Walter Horton, and Junior Wells, James Cotton, people like that. And then, of course, you have other harmonica players then that came along later that I listen to now as well, you know.
I'll ask you about the harmonica actually in a minute because to me you're the master harmonica player.
I don't know about that, but I just like to play it.
Well,
you
you
know.
are. Tell me, what would a dream gig for you be? Has been maybe. What would have been a dream gig to play and to go to?
Playing at Charlie's.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's great playing.
Because of the intimacy, because you're in
Yeah,
close
it's
with-
close band. Collins is very good as well, you know, like playing there as well. I didn't like their playing first, but it was because the room was very small and the band is so loud, you know, and it's a grand place for an acoustic instrument, but for a loud band, because our band gets loud at times, you know.
I love that you say Charlie's though, because you played in the Mountain Dew Festival
Oh, yeah.
in 1977.
Yeah, with Rory, we were
Yeah.
supporting Rory's band.
So that's a major gig, like, yeah.
It was supposed to be a major gig, but we were just like a relief band as the crowd were coming in. The deal was that we were supposed to go on in the middle, somewhere in the middle, with politics and all that sort of thing. I don't know. But anyway, it was just a fun day, you know. And Rory
Brilliant.
was great to play with Rory.
I think there was 20,000 people turned up at that festival in Macroom, and there was only 50 guards for the 20,000
I
people.
know.
And I don't know if you know the story, but the guards agreed to not arrest anybody if they started causing trouble, and they
Right.
drove them 6 miles out of town and let them walk back.
Yeah.
I think that's a brilliant tactic. Like, it's what should
Yes, I
happen
read
all
that
the
in the
time.
book, all right. Yeah.
It must have been brilliant time, though. In fairness.
Mm.
Also, like, tell me who would be like. I think for me personally, I think you're an incredible front man. I'd say you have to be everybody's ideal front man, really, because.
It's just basically just showing off or doing the langer, as we say in Cork, you know.
Well, I've seen you in many gigs from I think roughly 25 years ago. I was thinking about this last night. Around 25 years ago, I saw you at a wedding in Kinsale, swinging out of the rafters, literally.
Yeah.
And then recently I saw you in Charlie's as well,
Absolutely
where
too,
you're
you know.
mingling with the crowd and
Yeah.
you're putting the mic up to all the fellow musicians.
Yeah. but
And you've just such a dynamic energy, and your face is so expressive, and you're wild on stage.
It's supposed to be, yeah.
It's supposed to be.
Yeah, but it's fun going up on stage and just doing that, you know. But come off the stage and say, oh, right, grand, back to normal.
Well, yeah, I was going to ask you, what does it take to do that? Because I see you as a kind of quiet and reserved man. I wouldn't quite say shy, but you're quiet enough, I think. And then you
Quiet.
go up on stage
Beware of
and
the quiet ones.
you transform.
Yes.
But are you nervous before you go to any
You'd be a
gig
bit
now?
tense, all right,
Yeah.
I suppose. Yeah, you would be a bit, I suppose. Like anything else, you just try to do, you know. I
Yeah.
suppose just get in and just do it. But it's fun then as soon as you get there, you know. It can be, but I don't like playing weddings and I play things like that. I don't like doing, you know, cabaret gigs. I've done that a couple of times as well, you know. People have to be interested in what we're doing, you know, I think. And if they're not, you know, it's
I think the
not
fact
fun
that
then.
music is free in Cork and
Yeah.
Ireland generally, that's
mean-
where the problem lies. Because if you go travel to Germany and you see how people
yeah.
absorb music and how they
Right.
respect the music,
It
and
is, yeah.
other places too, but
And Dublin as well. You know,
Yeah,
you play
right.
to get in a lot of places in Dublin.
But just getting back to you as a front man, okay, like, tell me, is
passing
this something you study yourself? Is it like a craft in itself to be
be a
that
front man?
character in front? Yeah.
No, I suppose
No,
it
it just
comes
comes
naturally
naturally
just
to
from watching. I suppose like from watching people like Elvis. I suppose was the man, you know. 'Cause
So
he-
would he have been your biggest influence in that sense?
Oh well, I think so. You know, with like all the rock and roll guys at the beginning, Chuck Berry and Little Richard and Ray Charles, all these people. You know, I think so. Yeah, and then of course the Stones as well. There's, you know, Mick, of course. To be an influence there, you know, I suppose, but not to copy anyone directly or something like that, but just to feel what you play, you know, and just that kind of thing, and just
'cause
project the image.
Your energy is immense. Everybody's focused on you, Especially, I
yeah,
saw
but
that in Charlie's.
you have to do that because you have to have the band listen to what we're doing, you know. You have to kind of get the people going and get the people to react, you know. That's all.
So, considering your extensive experience,
Oh.
have you any tips for young musicians coming up?
Well, like what? To practice lots of times and till they're fed up and keep practicing more when they're fed up. Don't give up, you know. You have to do that. Well, I think anyway.
Just go for it.
Sometimes you get fed up with practicing, you know. You have to go back to it and back to it and back. Repetition, repetition, repetition. I think anyway. You get better then.
Yeah.
The mind kicks in and you can suddenly play. No, my mind doesn't work that way. It doesn't, unfortunately. But it's supposed to happen for people that are learning the instrument, you know. So
Well, I think it's great that you told me that you've taken up piano more, getting into the technical aspect of it.
and blues, like
Yeah.
piano. Like
I think that's a brilliant opportunity. I don't mean at this stage of your life exactly, but
yeah.
you've had a long career of music, and now you've got another avenue opening up for you. Which,
But I always liked to play, you know,
yeah,
at home, you know, just
So you-
yeah.
you've retired from the trucks, and that's your
Oh, it's
your buzz
trucking.
every day, like now playing piano.
Trucking, yeah, that was just a job to
Yeah.
the food, you know, pay the bills.
So as I said a while ago, I see you as a master harmonica player. You're a multi-instrumentalist. You play the guitar, the saxophone, the keyboard,
Just
piano
play.
now.
Just play them, you know, just play at them.
You play
we
them,
say.
and
Play at them.
the harmonica obviously, and you sing.
Yeah.
But I'd like to talk about the harmonica.
Yeah.
First of all, you've mentioned some brilliant players there. Who
Yeah.
do you think are your top 5 harmonica players?
William Clark, Paul Lamb, Rod Piazza. There are people now who are living today, you know, except for William passed away recently, but they're very good players. Yeah, I listen to that kind of stuff. They're West Coast players.
I actually only recently, because I knew I was coming to talk to you, I actually only listened for the first time to a guy playing classical harmonica. That's
Yeah.
incredible, isn't it?
Yeah.
I know you've played jazz,
Some
blues, and
Adler is very good at that.
Rockin.
Larry Adler
Yeah,
is a great
brilliant
player
playing,
as
yeah.
well. But there's chromatic he was playing. But there's guys like Howard Levy, and they play classical as well. But they have the notes that are missing. They're able to find them. They're hidden there.
yeah, your tone that you've, like, I know that in 1952 Fender brought out the Bassman, the 15-inch combo, and then in 54 I think it was the 4x10
Before the
cab.
10, yeah.
That is a
was-
big part of your tone that you have, and
Yeah.
the bullet microphone, the
Oh,
Shure
yeah.
bullet. And what kind of harmonica do you have as well?
The Honer ones, I use the Honer ones a
blues
lot
harp
now.
or-
Yeah, the cross harp now, and lately the crossover ones.
So you got the, I think you got the amp. I remember when you ordered it, probably about 12 years ago, 10, 12
Yeah.
years ago. And so this, it all clicked into place.
1990, I'd say.
Yeah.
Was that 10 years ago?
Well,
But
I thought it was actually.
yeah, it was a great amp,
Yeah.
and you know, I gave a loan of it to Paul Lamb actually when he was here, and he thought it was a great amp as well. Really good. I don't give it out to anybody, but he's the master harmonica player, so I don't mind giving it to him. But it was great. It was a great sound off it, you know. But you can only turn it up to 3. Because like a guitar player can just plug in and turn it up to 10.
Yeah.
But you can't, because to start howling otherwise, feedback, and I don't like feedback, and nobody likes feedback, but I have a squeal killer for that, you know, to kill it, and you can turn it up a bit more then, you know. But you have to mic up the amp then as well. It's all technical, but that's it, you know.
So that was your sound that you, the amplified harmonica, and
I like
that's the
playing
tone that you
acoustically
get.
as well, you
yeah,
know.
yeah.
Yeah.
Also, I wanted to ask you about some techniques if you have your harmonica on you.
Do I have to stretch?
Possibly, just there.
The microphone is going to fall.
I'd like you to tell me a bit of different ornamentation or effects that you get, like maybe thrilling, vibrato, and bending and so on. If you could tell me a bit about that.
What about
Give
it?
it a little instructional clip.
Thanks very much. Thanks. Sure. Instruction on what?
Just show me what you can do,
Okay.
please.
Yeah. Okay. That's a tongue flutter. That's a tongue block. It's like vamping, you know.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way the players used to play to accompany the way Horner designed the instrument for doing polkas and things like that. They'd vamp and play the tune as well. Yeah. That kind of thing, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But the blues guys got it, and they went going by accident. And that's a wah-wah. And all this kind of thing. It's just all, and some of it's back here then as well.
You're almost
The
talking with it.
epiglottis.
Yeah.
That kind of
So
thing.
you've an extra strong diaphragm and lungs and
well, if you
epiglottis
play-
and
well, that's why I
the rest
prefer
of
to
it.
stand.
Yeah.
by
But
playing
I
with
think the tongue is one of
Mm.
the 4 strongest muscles in the body. It ties with that. So your tongue.
That's for vamping
This
as
probably
well.
sounds wrong, but very strong.
Oh, check that out, baby.
Well, when I look at you, when I'm watching you there, like it's all going. Sorry, Joe. Something I was going to say as well is, oh yeah,
What?
first of all, you're at this stage you're such an expert on the harmonica. You
Do you
can
think?
take them apart and put them back together again.
Yeah,
so you
well,
maintain them yourself, do you?
I got fed up with buying them up in Crowley's and throwing them away.
You shouldn't have
costing me
said it that way.
12 and 6 each time. And what did they go up to later? They're nearly 50.
When you think about how many you must have bought them
thrown
for years.
away.
Mm,
And whereas like a guitar player can change a string,
mm.
and had we known that you could just adjust them, or else no, Honer, you can buy single reeds off Honer and replace them. But the tools, then you have to get the tools to do it as well. And a tuner as well.
Yeah.
Use the tuner with it.
They're like
And you have the tuner has to be at 4/4/2 when you're setting them, because when you're playing back, it'll settle back then, you see. Because if you tune it to a 440, it won't work that way because
drop.
it'll drop. Yeah,
They're kind of like the concertinery, the small brass.
yeah.
And
You
fine
tip the foil the tip of them, of the reed to sharpen them, and foil the base to flatten them. Scratch them. That's what it
Do
is.
you put yours into water?
No.
No.
I did for a while. You know, when I used to be jamming with Harry up in the jazz festival, I used to do that for fun, just put in the
Then
beer and, you know, it'd be more shrill and it'd be great fun.
Is it because it tightens, it
It
expands
makes it
and
louder,
tightens
yeah.
then, so
It
you
makes
get
it louder,
more
but if
response?
you're playing acoustically, you would, yeah. But it's not good for the harmonica.
No.
It just rots the blooming things and rusts the reeds as well, you know.
I think the best thing about it is how portable it is, obviously.
Yeah,
Obviously, it's a
but,
fantastic instrument. You go everywhere with it, do you?
Yeah, well, usually, yeah, in case somebody might want to jam, you know.
Yeah, I saw a
and-
clip of you in London and
Yeah, in Charlotte Street, yeah.
in a
That was
blues
great.
club, like.
I gave a friend of mine the camera. I said, take a picture of me when I'm going up and jam with these guys. And of course, he pressed the video button, knocked out my solo, of course, and just got a bit in. But it was great fun because at the end, I'm cueing the drummer at the end, and it's good fun. It was great,
But
great
it
crack.
must afford you many experiences like that
And it was nice. To
down
get,
through the years of falling in with different bands
Yeah.
and even now currently, like if you're going out socialising,
yeah,
somebody can ask you up and
Yeah.
you know,
like,
yeah, it's very inclusive.
yeah. Like the hot-blooded animals often give me
Yeah,
a spot there with them, you know, it's great.
it's great fun. So you
Yeah.
always carry them with you.
Dizzy
Oh yeah,
Blues
tell me,
Band.
you told me about when you were working on the trucks.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What
I think
about
that's brilliant. You used to have your harmonica with you.
Oh, the road safety wouldn't like that now, you know, because you could play. It's just like smoking a cigarette, you know. Now, if I wanted to learn a lick, you know, something complicated, I would just put on my tape in the truck, and decide to make the working experience, which was kind of horrible experience. Like, I mean, you know, it's physical work, lifting in bad weather conditions and rough going, but I didn't mind. You just weather the storm, you know. But the positive side was I could listen to blues all day. I could listen to could switch my phone off in case they'd be wondering, where are you now? And I would say, you know, just playing the harmonica and listening. And it was great that way. So I turned a thing that was kind of negative into a positive thing to do for me, you know. By listening to, I used to tape Paul Jones on the BBC, and I could listen to his shows, then blues programs, you know, things like that. That was great. Enjoy that.
I hope you don't mind now, but I've asked a few of the audience members to ask you a question, just to put you on the spot.
Oh, grand.
First of all, we've Alan Creedon from Live Lizzie.
Hi, Alan.
I just would like to ask you about the longevity of your band, Hot Guitars. You're going over 40 years.
77. It started out with Bill and Jeremy. Brian came then as well. And Johnny Campbell played it with us a few times as well. Yeah, just...
It's a phenomenal amount of time to keep any band going.
Yeah.
And even still, any bar you play in, Charlie's, Collins, you're still packing them out. Why do you think that's...
Well, I mean, if they paid again, no, there'd be nobody there. I don't know. It's a bit of a buzz, I suppose. People enjoy what we do, and people love steam. I guess that's what it's about, you know. And the players in the band that we have at the moment are very good as well, you know, which is very, very good. I'm privileged to be playing with some such great musicians, you know, and it's grand, and I can just.
So no arguments that are other than them being creative.
Disagreements are at times,
Yeah.
but I mean it can be sorted.
Get on with it, like
We get sorted, you know. We don't have to bitch so much about it, you know. But no, it's when it's not right, you know. We've got some people there that really know. The players are very good, you know.
Thanks, Alan.
Thanks, Alan.
I want to ask you. You have a question as well. You were done from Live Lizzie as well.
Hi.
Joe. Gallagher was obviously a big influence, obviously getting away from the harmonica, but guitar players. What other guitar players obviously influenced you down through the years? What guitar players would impress you or would you look up to, you know?
Well, I was at the Isle of Wight in 1970 and I saw Jimi Hendrix. And even though Jimi Hendrix, it wasn't his best gig, it was great to see him. And there were 600,000 people at that gig. And I was delighted to be able to go along to that. And there was a guy in a band, Free, Paul Kossoff, who was a fine guitar player. And unfortunately, he didn't last too long. But he was a great player. And I saw the Moody Blues as well. And they were very good as well. Jethro Tull, Leonard Cohen, Richie Havens. That was a great weekend. It really changed my life, the Isle of Wight. You know, it's wonderful.
What about modern day harmonica players, like say Huey Lewis now and players like that? Would you rate that?
Well, he knows how to play. You know, it's the same way. A lot of people know how to play it, and you know. Whether they're great now, I don't know. I mean, I know Huey Lewis is a very good player, but yeah, I mean, people that I listen to at the moment now, like guys like Paul Lamb, who's a master harmonica player, Sonny Terry, you know, all these old guys, and then there's there's a guy from England. I can't think of his name at the moment, but he's very good too.
Dan Baker.
What about him?
Would you rate him? Obviously, he's a brilliant player. Like he was voted the
fine player. Yeah.
Okay, thanks you.
Thanks you.
Do you know Kamala Daz as well?
Kamala, hi.
She'd like to ask you a question.
How are you?
Are you married? No.
I don't know. Sorry, Joe.
What kind of question is that?
No, I'm only joking. Do you know?
My divorce is on the way, actually.
You know, but to me, I think, you know, when I've heard you play, and I've been in Cork now for, I don't know, the guts of 30, 40 years maybe, but you always seem to kind of like delve into the middle of the harmonica and you try to just suck out the heart of it, you know, and I think you do. I think you really manage it, you know, but over the years now, you're a sax player as well yourself, you know, have you come across a really a fine sax player now in Ireland that you would say, God, they're brilliant. Apart from yourself, of course, they're such a brilliant sax player.
Yeah.
Who do you rate in Ireland as a sax player?
Well, I think Richie Buckley is a great saxophone player, and locally I like Harry Connolly, who's also a fine singer, and Len is a very good saxophone player as well, Len McCarthy. People like that. But for listening, I like listening to Charlie Parker, and I like listening to Earl Bostic. He's a rock and roll 50s saxophone player. Played alto saxophone, was really good. And
it's like, I mean, Elvis and the Stones, Mick Jagger, they really broke down the barriers between white people and black people, and they brought blues into the white audience. Did you find it difficult, years ago now when you were starting, like breaking down the Irish white audience, or were they kind of very into it from the get-go?
Oh no, we always loved playing rhythm and blues when we were growing up in places like the Cavern Club, and like I say, it was the halls around. People that were into the music loved what we did, I suppose. Shandon Boat Club, there was no, it was just good fun, R&B,
Great. I just one last question from Jack Lyons.
Jack?
It's lovely that Joe, who's had, as everybody else here knows, this enormous depth of longevity. And I suppose a lot like Joe Mack of the Dixies, this Joe here, he's on a par with him when it comes to the distance and the music that he's given the people of Cork. And I think that this is a marvellous setting for him. And well done, Joe.
Thanks very much, Jack.
I have an abiding memory of Joe when I was a postman on the Model Farm Road. Didn't matter with the weather, but you might get a very stormy day, and you were just mentioned this incident a while ago. I'd get up by the Ross Avenue traffic lights, and very often Joe would be in his lorry, Dublin Providers, and Joe would see me, and the rain would be pouring down the back of my neck with a bundle of letters in my hand, and I'd get a blast out the window of the cab of Little Walter. And that would carry me through the day.
Very good.
Brilliant. Thanks, Jack.
Thanks, Jack.
Thanks very much. Actually, I'm going to get you to play a piece in a second there now,
great.
but I'd just like to say thanks a million for agreeing to come in and doing
Thanks,
this.
Sheena.
You don't know this now, but you're held in really high esteem among your peers, like your music peers. But everybody I spoke to coming up to this all said legend, so I'll leave it at that.
Thanks.
So will you play a few pieces for us?
I'd love to.
Thanks a million, Joe. Cheers, guys.
Thanks very much.
Blues with a feeling, that's what I have today. Blues with a feeling, yeah, that's what I have today. Gotta find my baby, yeah. If it takes all night and day. What a lonesome feeling, people. Oh, when you're by yourself. What a lonesome feeling, people. Hey, when you're by yourself. Where the one that you love has gone off with someone else. Bad luck, trouble. Well, you know I love you, baby. One of the reasons why. Go and let me, baby. day.
Huh? We do another one.
Yeah, do one more, yeah.
Would you?
You already heard
Yeah, we'll actually do the real one.
I got my mojo working, just don't work on you. I got my mojo working, just don't work on you. I wanna love you so bad, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going down to the city, get me a mojo hand. I'm going down to the city, get me a mojo hand. I'm gonna have all these fun on my command. Oh, got my mojo working. I got my mojo working. Got my mojo working. Got my mojo working. Mojo working. Got my mojo working. Got my mojo working. Got my mojo working. Just don't work on you. Working, got my mojo working. I got my mojo working. 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 I got my mojo working, but it just don't work and it just don't work and it just don't work on you.